Hey y'all. So it's still Saturday, get something done day. So finish the van up and moving on. Let's move on to the Mustang. So I started going at it and then remembered I wanted to turn on the camera just to, I don't know. I don't know if anybody needs to know this, but we're going to record it and keep track of it anyway. So 93 Fox Body Convertible. This one happens to be a 4-cylinder automatic. I love this car. It was my youngest kid's car for the first year and a half of him driving. And then he got something else that was a little more, I don't want to say reliable because this car never really let him down, but just a little newer. And I took this back and I've always wanted a convertible. And my only other convertible is that one, which hasn't, gotten very far. So having a convertible that I can drive, I love it. And since I've got this back from him months ago, the top has not gone back up. It just stays down and I drive it when it's nice and it gets great gas mileage. I don't know. Do I wish it was a 5.0? Yeah, obviously. I really wish it was a 5.0 because it's a clean, I would call it fairly low mile car. It's got 120 some thousand miles on it. So what I don't like about it is that it sits real high in the front end. I thought about getting some lowering springs for it, but none of those lowering spring kits are for a 4-cylinder. And several of them say they're not for the convertible. Well, as I read farther onto the convertible issue, it's because the lowering varies. It's the same damn springs, but the weight of the cars makes the lowering inches vary, so they just say not for a convertible. At least that's what I'm reading. So could be wrong on that. But what I'm gonna do, because I've seen some other people do this, is cut the springs and see how it comes out. Several people that I've talked to and watched videos of before have said that they like the ride better with the cut springs rather than the lowered springs. I don't know. I ain't got anything to lose. It needs an alignment anyway because I just had Joey put a steering rack on it and new tie rod ends. And he kind of got the toe close, but it needs an alignment. So why not just go ahead and cut the springs while I'm at it. And we're going to drop the front end because the front end sits a little bit higher than the back. So we're going to drop it, give it a little bit different stance, and just see what happens. So first thing I did was pulled it in, and I drove it around quite a bit through the yard and banged it around a little bit to get the suspension moving and working. And then I drove it in here and I did a measurement from ground to lip at each corner. So like 26 5/16, 26 and 5/8. They all vary a little bit. 26 and a quarter. This side always seemed to sit just a little bit lower. 26 and 3/4. So I'm gonna get it in the air and get it up on jack stands, safety third. And I'm going to pull the springs out and drop this car. And we're going to see how it goes. And if I cut too much and it drops too much, well, what do I got to lose but some springs? I'll go get some springs. Not a big deal. And like I said, it needs an alignment anyway, so now's the time to do it. So let's get going. All right, so digging into it a little deeper. What you need to do, disconnect the mount on this end of the sway bar. Disconnect your brake line bracket. It's a 10 millimeter. Just disconnect it so it's got room to float a little bit. That's a pain in the ass to get to. I ended up using this long 10 millimeter wrench. Anyway, that came apart pretty easy. And then you put the jack underneath it to hold the pressure of the arm, of the spring. You unbolt the top of the strut, carefully taking things off so you can put them back in the order everything goes, right? So that goes to that, goes to that. I think that is it. we should be ready. Yeah, it's loose. So let's drop this dude down and see what it's going to take to get this thing loose. Some people act like it, you know, it's all easy, but nothing is easy. All right, see if we can get that sucker out of there. That's off, that's off, that's off. When this comes down, we talk about how it wants to fall outward. So I'm just pulling the strut down a little bit. It's got some juice, so it's going back up. And that's okay. I'm gonna let some pressure off and let's see how everything goes. Slack is working out as such. Popped out. Alright, so the pressure is off of it. Get the strut down. Jog it back up a little bit. Okay. Let's get this strut down and out of the way. I'm gonna want to go back up, and that's okay. Let's do this. Make this so it's got this just to kind of lean against. All right. That spring still has pressure on it, obviously. There's a lot of crap down in that spring area. That's a bad thing about these things. They retain just about everything down in that spring pocket. I don't know how they don't rust out. Anyway, let's get this thing out. Everything to bind, so let's see. What the heck? Okay, so after that interruption, the spring came out fairly easy. Pry bar and a hammer. But as I was taking it out, I thought, man, something looks weird. It's like the isolator is way longer than the spring. Does that look odd? You know why? Because the spring is broken. So that much of the spring, it was broke. So, anyway, we're going to do some choppy on it because it needed it anyway. So yeah, do some cutting, figure out where I'm going to cut this thing. I'll get it cut and show you how I put it back in there. Here's a little better shot of the problem now that I pulled the insulator off. So we're going to go probably coil and a half. Cut out a coil and a half. Hope we don't go too far. Maybe a coil and a quarter. We'll see. Sometimes I'm just not good at pulling out the camera. So I got into the right side already and then remembered, oh, I better get the camera out. Okay, so you saw the left one was cracked and broken. The right one is not. So I've got it out and I've got it marked based off of what I cut out of the other spring, you know, when it's back together is kind of close to being one. So it's a 1.25 coils. And that's what we're going with on this one too. Again, not broken, so that was helpful. I got this one back up in. This is really a pretty basic, simple operation if you got a couple of jacks and everything goes smooth. So I'm gonna get this one cut real quick and get it back up in there. We'll see how it goes. Again, quick on the draw with not grabbing the camera. Basically, the back, you jack it up just like I had it. You put those jack stands on the rails, so the rear end will drop the whole way. And you take the lower mount off the shock. Mine is a Torque Spit, lucky me. Obviously this thing's a 4-banger, so it doesn't have the quad shocks. So you take that shock loose and that thing just kind of floats. So once you drop it, allow the rear end to come all the way down, it's still not quite enough. So then I jacked up on the opposite side, which caused it to twist and come down even more on this side. And the spring came right out. So I'm only going 1 coil here. We're gonna put the chop right there. Put the isolator back on, shove it back in there, and we'll see where it lands. Another hour, maybe. I should have this thing back on the ground. We'll see where it lands with a 1.25 coils out of the front and a coil out of the back. Oh my gosh, it's amazing, just like I wanted it to. Just kidding, haven't put it down yet. Let's do that though. See, we get where we wanted to be. You can watch with me. Let's see how it goes. I like it if it doesn't settle anymore in the front. The back's gonna have to come down though, I think. It's pretty freaking low. So the final look, at least final for now. 1 coil in the back was not enough. So pulled them back out and went 1.5. I've decided I'm going to stop and see how much settling happens. I'll drive it like this for a little bit and just, if the front doesn't settle much more, I may take just a little more out of the back. So 1.25 out of the front, 1.5 out of the back is where we're sitting right now. happy with it. A little bit more rake than I wanted. I'm kind of wishing I hadn't cut so much out of the front. Maybe just want a coil and maybe just a coil. But can't back up now. And it's not enough to where I'm going to change my mind and do something different. So as long as it doesn't settle more than another inch, half inch, I'll be fine. And the back, yeah, depending on how things go, may bring it a little bit more down. I also want to see what it looks like with me sitting in it, because the back springs, I don't know, they seem a little weak. So like if somebody gets in the back seat, even my skinny little kid, it makes a difference. So I'm just not going to mess with it. I'm going to get it aligned here within the next week or two and just kind of see where it falls. And we'll go from there. Keep you updated. If I change it, I'll let you know. If you have any questions about anything I did, drop a comment and be happy to answer.